All right, check this out. This is the incredible accuracy of the TigerFence. So I've got a dial indicator against the fence. You can see the plunger is, retracted slightly. The fence currently is set at 14 and 15/16, right? We're gonna move it, whatever. Let's go 24 and 3/8. And I'm gonna push the start button. You'll see this dial indicator come off of 0. Right? Fence moved over. Let's bring it back to 14 and 15/16. Return. That is awesome. Yeah, man. Hello, my name is Ramon Valdez, and we are in my shop here at my table saws. I've got a slider here. Over on the other corner is a 10-inch cabinet saw, and they both share this outfeed table. Now, this Hammer K3, I love this saw, with one exception, and that's the fence. So with this fence, there's not a cursor, and you literally need to line up the scale with the side of the fence. For most operations, it's pretty good, and that works, but it's not extremely accurate. A couple of things that happen. As you're sighting down to read that scale, a phenomenon called parallax can happen, right? Where you close your left eye and it looks different than if you close your right eye. So a lot of times I have to come to this side of the fence and sight down this to find that mark on the scale. And a lot of times, even though this fence isn't shiny, it will create a reflection, and it's hard to see if that number or that line is actually on the scale or a reflection on the fence. So I've got a cool thing happening. The truck just dropped off a TigerFence, and so I'm gonna bring that in, and we're gonna see what it's gonna take to set that up to be an automated system, which is not only gonna be awesome because of the automation, but it's gonna improve accuracy by a huge amount. So let's check that out.
So the entire thing is on a pallet about 18 inches by 6 foot. And even though I'm extremely strong, I thought I'd bring it in pieces.
Free M&Ms? That was a fun surprise. Everything was packaged really well, and there's not a lot of parts, so it made for a pretty straightforward install. Here's a view of my existing bar from the left side of the fence and from the right side, minus the fence, I should say. So one thing I need to mention really quick, the main lead screw on my saw, it's a special order because this is a Hammer 79 and you can get different widths, I think 32, 48 or whatever. I got the narrow rip capacity, but I got the longest slider part. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, since my shop is kind of long but relatively narrow, that's why I got the shorter rip fence capacity here. And so with the Tiger Stop, this is a custom order that they do. And this is only about 52, 53 overall. So it will come out just to about where this curve on my outfeed table starts. So I didn't want it sticking way out. I mean, I could have had it longer, but I curved this outfeed table on purpose. So anyway, this is a custom length, and they do that. So that is awesome. All the components laid out. I need to start taking off the original fence, the rail and everything, and this looks like European style fence, which I absolutely love. I'm assuming this goes here. And then that squeezes, yeah. Let's open that up. These are awesome because this will go in this way or like this, which is really cool if you're making angled cuts. Anyway, let me slip this guy on here. Something like that. Boom. Woo, that's gonna be awesome. Solid. So anyway, I'm gonna take this off, move things around a little bit, and we're gonna mount a plate, an aluminum plate to the front of this. And yeah, let's get going. Thought I'd try out the new wrenches my brother gave me recently. All right, got that off. This is relatively straight. It's not perfect. As a matter of fact, I've got about an 1/8 inch offset here. You know, 3.5 millimeters offset. And this cast iron, this is angle. That's known as a draft angle. That's how cast iron is pulled out of the sand or mold or whatever. So it has an angle of a few degrees. So we'll have to accommodate that. This looks pretty flush. Let me grab a straight edge. When I set that up, ooh, that is nice. Anyway, that looks pretty good. Here is relatively flush, with the exception of this offset of the table. That's easy to accommodate. And then these bolts, like a T-bolt, this goes in the back side of this part of the fence, right here, right? So there's 6 or maybe 8 of those that will go in that, and then these would go through your casting or whatever you have, and then attach from the back side. But since I have 3 different pieces here, I'm going to attach a plate. So I purchased a chunk of aluminum. This is a 1/2 inch thick, 3.5 inch tall. And I believe I can mount this and create a nice flat, straight surface. This I can attach with some bolts. Let me grab those. So I just got some 5/16. These are going to be countersunk into the aluminum bar, washers and nuts from the backside. Last time I checked these instructions, they require 8-inch centers, I believe 1.25 inches down, and then 2.5 down all the way down the length of the screw mechanism there. However, it's not going to work for everyone. And they even sent a template which would allow you to fold this edge, put that right on your corner, bring it down, and then you have, you know, a good template for all these 8-inch center, 3/8 diameter holes all the way down. I'm starting to ramble here. I think I've got this figured out. So I'm going to do a little bit of layout, and then we'll get back and I'll show you what's going on, yeah? Okay, so here we have a cutting line. So this is the edge of the saw blade, and then there's a distance from the right side of the saw blade. And TigerFence is wanting us to mark this line with center punches or scribe. And then it reads here, end of TigerFence beam is here. Do not position closer to the saw blade. Looks like 2 7/8. So I could put a line here. Let me see how this looks. I put my straight edge up against this saw blade, making sure to engage on the teeth, right? So that's in line there. And then I could put the left edge of this aluminum with the left edge of that straight edge. And that would be the position. You know what would be better is if I went a little bit past, just as long as I clear that. And then I can allow this 2 7/8 from here to my scribe line. And then later, I can, once this is all installed, I can bring this right over here, just like that, and scribe that perfectly. And that'll be a good point of reference for the right side of the blade when I'm using the crosscut fence. Or I could even scribe lines on both sides of that blade, so it would show path of cut. So I'll probably do that. All right, so my piece of aluminum is 6 foot long. It's plenty long. I'm going to cut it to length. I'm just going to bring it right up to the slider with a 1/16 or a couple of millimeters slack. And then I can bring this straight edge, make sure it engages a couple of teeth. Slip it right there. And then utilizing that measurement from Tiger Stop of 2 7/8 from the right side of the blade to the start of the beam. 2 7/8 right there. And then the beam, in my particular case, since it's custom length, is 49.5. I'm just going to give it a little, maybe another 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch pass on this end. Line that up. This isn't really critical, so I'm just going to go 50 inches from there. That will be my overall length. And I can see that it's going to stick out past this radius on my outfeed table a little bit, but that's okay. A chop saw with a non-ferrous blade will slice right through that aluminum cleanly. I have another YouTube video on this subject if you want to check that out, called Non-Ferrous Metals Cut with Woodworking Tools. All right, so I remembered something as I was taking off the old hardware. You've got these washers, and one is concave and one is convex. And the reason behind those is that as they swivel, see that as they swivel, that is designed to take up this draft angle. So I noticed that these are 240 thousandths just by miking those, and that fits just right there. And since one's convex and one's concave, they behave and they flush up nice and square, perpendicular to the top surface. So those are going to work. So anyway, I've got these laid out pretty close where I want. I'm going to have a low, a high, a low, a high, low, a high, and a low. And then the aluminum, this aluminum bar, it's going to attach with these like I had mentioned earlier. And so this will just countersink in that, and I'll put one right in there. And you got to watch these ribs. I need to mark out where those ribs are, but I can put one there, one there. I can put one probably in this hole since it's already there. I can put one here, one right in there, and one right in there. So that's the next step. All right, some things changed a little bit. When I was planning on using this for the that lower dimension of 2.5 inches, it's not low enough. I'm only 2 1/8. So what I'm going to do, I've got these all laid out in blue to designate the bolt going through. I've got a low one here, high, low, high, and another one high because I just can't put low ones in this area in the cast iron, but it'll still work. Then the red ones, these are going to go countersunk into the aluminum and attaching it to the front of all this. So I can just put this in place. Something like that. Tap that over. I like it. And from there, since I already have this marked, I don't know if that shows up. I can grab this camera. All right, here you can see my marks. High, high, low, high, and low. So corresponding with these marks, high and low. Can you tell I'm a little apprehensive to drill this? but now I can transfer my marks. Something like that. 1.25 inches down, 1.25 inches, 2.5, etc., etc. So I set one square at 2.5 inches or 63.5 millimeters, and then I like using a scribe. And this one I set at 1.25 inches or 31.7 millimeters, I believe. And you can see this gap here. It looks to be about an 1/8 inch, which is just about right. The piece just stays in there. So I'll have to put a shim there, right? The red, I just marked a vertical line. I need to figure out height on those. So, loosen this guy. And you may already know this, but WD-40 is your friend when working with aluminum, cutting it, drilling it, milling it, Yeah, works amazingly well. So at this point, I've got these holes drilled like some odd drill size, smaller than quarter. My target dimension, or the target size, is 3/8, but I'm starting small, and I don't like using my common drill bits, so something under 1/4 inch. And I've drilled all those. I can clamp it in place and then drill them with a 3/8 bit. I mean, I like saving my commonly used bits. This is a 5/16 bolt. They're requiring, or they're requesting a 3/8. Yeah, all holes 3/8 diameter. That's just to give you a little slack. I might not go 3/8. I might go between 5/16. What this is, between 5/16 and 3/8. Same with these. I don't really need a 3/8 hole. So anyway, you can always go bigger, right? Yeah. And I also need to create access. I have a small access hole here where this outfeed table was, attached to hammer table, this extension on the hammer. And this is actually metal, but the reason they're the same color is because I covered this metal with Formica that's this color, just because, why not? And then this one, this will just go through, and I can cut one of these and put a nut from the back. So this worked well to use a smaller drill bit preliminary and then use that as a template to mark all the holes on the table saw, and then ultimately go with the bigger size. Yeah. All right, there we go. All right, so what I've got going on here, I need to create an access for these two guys, and actually this dude is just about on a rib. Since this is a torsion box, I had it marked up here. There's a rib right there, but wasn't paying attention. Easy enough to just make a jig. So somewhere in there. I suppose I could have just used a hole saw to cut a hole, but this was easy enough, and I thought it might give me a little bit more hand space with a rectangular hole. And that actually missed the McRib. Awesome. So I was going to use a piece of aluminum. I thought, why would do I need that? I really don't. So this is just some 1/8 inch masonite. Should be plenty good, right? It's just a spacer. But oh no, it doesn't match. It's not that pretty gray. All right, that goes there. Let's grab this dude. Of course. And I'll end up putting washers back here, but for now, because more than likely I'll be taking it off, what I need to do is pivot this to put these concave convex washers in. Those are going to be a little tricky, but I have an idea. Let me move the camera. These are pretty large magnets, and they can be challenging to take apart. One thing you can do is just drill a hole in a piece of wood like that. Instead of pulling them apart, you're pushing one of them off, right? Yeah, like that. So I think if I can put this guy back behind there and take our washers, I think that'll hold it. Could probably use grease to hold them, you know what I mean? So now, carefully get this past that. Loosen this nut just a little. Get a little slack. Somewhere in there. Boom. So they send lock washers and flat washers. And these are actually for for these dudes going through, but I'm going to use lock washers and flat washers on everything. But for now, I'm just going to try just the nut. All right, so I've got it tacked in a few places. I'm going to have to take it back off. I mean, I planned on it. I want to cut some of these corners, ease some of these, corners so they're not sharp. I just need to, as I start tightening everything, make sure that everything is straight, which looks pretty close so far. And I believe that unit hangs down about 1/2 inch. So for whatever reason. But yeah, man, that's gonna work. That is awesome. All right, so there's the bar installed, and I've got all these countersunk machine screws, connecting to the table saw and the outfeed table. Those are nice and tight. Of course, using a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut in that order. And then these T-bolts are loose, and I wasn't able to get exactly an 8-inch center pattern, but there's 2 here that are up the top, and then these are staggered. So that's going to be plenty strong for supporting the beam. And you got to excuse me, I'm out of breath. I just did a set of chin-ups. And then this last one here on the end, I just cut that one down. So you can see the nut. I should have actually moved it out a little bit more. I would have had more thread, but it's fine. It'll work. It should tighten right there. So yeah, I'm going to slip the beam in place and continue. Could probably use 2 guys, but come on, baby. Woohoo! Somewhere in there, need to allow that 2 7/8. And this would probably have looked better if the aluminum was flush with this, but I knew it would be challenging to, not have that reference of this being flush all the way across. And I eased that corner, so that's not a big shake. Yeah, man. That's freaking awesome. So I can tighten all those bolts from the inside and put the fence on, hook some power to it. I got to figure out where I'm going to mount this guy. I'm thinking here somewhere, and I really don't know yet, but love it. All right, so I got to tell you a funny. So I got this thing installed, and then the next day, or actually that evening, I was looking at some photos of other TigerFences installed, and they were all flush, every one of them. So I panicked. I ended up calling TigerFence and asking them about it. So they said to make the TigerFence fit more applications, they have dropped it down slightly. So yes, it in fact does hang down a 1/2 inch. I think we're pretty good. You don't need to do this, but 490, 492, 489, 480. We're close. That's awesome. We can start putting this dude on. Let's see. Let me back up this camera angle. This dude is next, and looking at the instruction, this little nub goes on the right side, and that slot is actually not centered. It could go like that, which I think it goes like this, if this is going to be flush, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I know it goes on like that. And for some reason, they sent me 2 of these dudes. But I only need 1. That goes in there. Looks like an 6 millimeter. Okay, that's tight. And this, let's see, that should be loose actually, yeah. You can see it's loose on the height. So of course these here in the front will adjust squareness of the fence this way, and the ones on top and there's screws underneath, those will adjust this bar this way, which will adjust the perpendicularness of the fence to the table. So I'm pretty close right there. Well, I think just by eye. I just put it on there. It needs adjusted after this dude's in place. Let me grab this guy. Oh, this dude's heavy. That goes on there, and that little nub that I showed you earlier, that will butt right up to it. Like that, and then this locks that in place. This clearance looks good. This clearance is close. I might have to adjust the wheel out there. And then of course we'll adjust squareness. I guess I can put this fence in place. Somewhere in there. Boom. Yeah, you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but yeah, maybe a little bit bigger gap on that end. So of course that wheel needs adjusted where that would drop down a little bit. And this gap under the fence should be parallel. And then perpendicular to the edge. And I think I can move this here. No power is hooked up to the motor yet. Of course we want to be perpendicular to the blade, but this will get us close. So now I could take a 5 millimeter and start loosening. So I need to loosen that one and tighten this one. Oh boy, changes quick. That's pretty good. And then square here. So you probably can't see this on camera, but there's a gap at the bottom. So I know that I could, let's see if I tighten that. Yeah, that brings the fence square. I'll put a light behind it to get it accurate. I just want to get it close for now. And they act like Gibbs screws. I guess they really are Gibbs screws, which means you tighten one against the other. And we can final tune that here in a bit. But yeah, man, that's awesome. So you won't ever mess with this, really. I mean, that's just locking this part to this guy. So, you know, it's a kip handle, so you can just move it out of the way. Keep it down there. Yeah. Now, I know this is not ideal, but I made a little bracket that would install the keypad to the fence, and I'm going to see how it works. I know it slides with the fence, but we'll try it out for now. I can always move it later. All right, so this is the new manual that they sent me, the download. And I probably printed more pages than I need, but setup. So power up TigerFence by toggling the red switch on the amplifier box. It's actually a black switch. Following instructions on screen to run the home routine. Okay, let's do that. Let me move this camera. Okay, so call Tiger Stop, phone number, enter enable code. Well, I got the code already because when I received the machine, you send in, you email them and you get your serial number, which it's on this warranty registration. You have to warranty it, which I did, and your serial number. And the serial numbers on this warranty registration, it's also right above the motor on the beam, okay? And so I did that, and then I ended up getting this enable code, which is this right here. So
115,646 dash. Does it need the dash? Doesn't look like it takes a dash. Okay. 381779044, followed by equals. Initializing.
all right. I think initially what it wants to do is run on the beam just to check that there's not any tightness, that in fact that the beam is mounted to a nice flat straight surface. So it'll check that. So let's give that a go. Wow. Okay, so press the show soft key. Show. So what it just did was called the run drive test, and it measures difficulty of movement. And I believe it was okay. So anyway, press the show soft key to show the menu options. Boom, boom, press the menu. And then the password will be the serial number. Press the password, and at the menu select, push the back button. So this is debug, looks like. Press the debug and press the forward button. Follow the prompts on screen to run the drive test. Another drive test looks like, so start. Hold on. I gotta back up to show you how cool this is. Whoa. So on my particular fence, my guard dust shroud has a knob on the right side. I may have to move that. I'm not sure what the distance between the blade and the fence should be. There should be a set, because there's limit switches underneath, you know, on each end, limit left and right, and those can be set. So let me look into that. Incidentally, it shows here that if the DRV, the drive test shows a number higher than 15 thousandths, that means the TigerFence has not been properly installed, and I'm showing 12,159, so that, you know, everything's nice and straight and true. Press stop when finished. Yeah. All right, I don't know how well this will show up on camera, but this dial indicator's on 0. This is on 6.5, 6.5 inches. Let's move it over. 12, whatever. 11/16, 6.875. Right? There it is. We're going to bring it back to 6.5. You can see the dial indicator moved off of 0. Let's go 6.5. Boom. Thousandths of an inch. How cool is that? This thing's going to be awesome. So to calibrate the TigerFence is super easy. They say to measure between the fence and the blade and input that measurement. What I did is I just cut a scrap under 6 inches so I could use calipers. In this case, I cut 3 7/8, right? 3.875. And boom, 3.875. Exact. That is awesome. Man, I gotta tell you, I am in love with this thing. Super accurate. Just did some tests. It's gonna be fantastic. There's a little bit of a hum when it's when the saw's shut off. Of course, you wouldn't hear that when the saw's running, and you can just put it in sleep mode by turning that off. So I just got to find some wire management. I'm gonna bring this up here like that. It won't be too bad. This will all be tucked up underneath there. My power cord will be, you know, put away, and it's gonna make me keep this part of my saw cleared off. And yeah, this thing's gonna work awesome. I love the accuracy of it. Now, I get it, this keypad is in a weird place maybe because, you know, if I, let's bring this over. If I was to cut something at, oh, the other thing is, my original hammer fence, it went to 34 inches. And this one, with the limit switch now, it goes to about 39.5, so bonus. And so let me show you what I'm talking about. So if I go to, let's just start at about 25 inches. So even from this side of the slider, that's pretty easy to reach, you know, so a little over half a sheet. If I'm cutting anything wider, then yes, I'm gonna have to walk around here. If the slider's back, I have to walk around it. But for me, for most of the cuts I'm doing, they're domino dock parts, they're small parts. I'm gonna be over there. Yeah, I'm gonna try this. If it works, I'll leave it because I like it, it's solid. If not, I'll mount it somewhere else. But yeah, so let's just go 39, I believe. I didn't quite hit the limit, but yeah, that is awesome. Fantastic capacity. Woo! I gotta tell you, this is awesome. I love it. So I've been using the TigerFence for a couple of weeks now and no issues with this cable being in the way. I am in love with this thing. Well, that is it. You just have to put the electrical cord, wire management up underneath here. Covers on. This thing is good to go. All right, so I just finished making this blade storage box, and this will turn into a full YouTube video. Did a little bit of wire management here, and so things are looking good. I hope this helps somebody out there. Thanks a ton for watching. Enjoy a spectacular day, yeah?